Yo, yo, yo. What up, Samuel?
My brother, my brother, my brother. Good
Everybody out
morning,
there.
good morning, man.
Morning, good morning, good morning. Everybody, welcome to episode 123 of the Collective Podcast. I am AC from LA. He is SG Trilogy, and we are back in business. How you doing today, my brother?
Brother, I'm doing great, man. It seems like we have not been on here in a minute. So I'm happy, man. It's Saturday morning. And what I always say, Saturdays are always best when you join the Collective Podcasts. My
You do
man
have
AC from LA, and I'm SG Trilogy. And as you can see, there are quite a few ways that you can remain tapped in with us. You know, the Collective Podcast is a great interactive experience. You can check out our official website at thecollectivepodcastofficial.com, on YouTube, TC Pod Official. And we ask that you please join our official channel. Facebook, we're TC Podcast Official. On X or Twitter, have it your way, TC Pod Official. On IG, we're TC Pod Official. His personal IG is AC from LA. And yours truly, I am SG Trilogy. We're happy that you're here to rock with us this morning. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Listen, I'm over the moon right now. I'm happy to be back with my brother. But not but and yesterday was Kayla's birthday, so she's 6. And the last time I talked about her almost being 6, Sean jumped on me and was like, "Hey, don't," and I forgot, don't have my little angel go too fast. Let her be 5 for all 365 days. And by the way, it'll be 366 next year. Next year's leap year. But let her be 5 for all of the days, and then mention that she's 6 when she's actually 6. So Kayla is 6 as of yesterday, and today she is 6 and a day. And so we're gonna stay tight on time because we are taking Kayla to Knott's Berry Farm today. By the way, there was a merger between the group that owns Knott's Berry Farm and Six Flags. That actually happened yesterday, or maybe it was the day before. But shout out to
Mhm.
them. But yeah, we're doing that today. So, oops, hit my mic. Staying tight on time. But yeah, I'm just really happy to be here. Happy to be back. I feel like we were away for a while. And I get it because last week it was Wednesday. So then when you go Wednesday to Saturday, that's 10 days. Hence, we're going to be back on in 4 days. And then it's going to be 10 days again, but then it'll be every Saturday after that because my football season will be over after next Saturday. So we're back in business. It's episode 123 of the Collective Podcast. Let me go ahead and share today's topics with you guys. Sam already told you guys how to reach us. Now we're going to look at the topics and where did they go? There they are. Is that today? Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Let me grab it, Sam. Present. Um, present what? Oh, okay. I got you. Anything? Oh, yeah. I guess things did happen for you this week, but we'll talk about that when we get to that particular segment. So I won't ask you how your week was. I'm just going to go ahead and share the screen. So hold on. Sharing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bam. So today, even though it says NFL will be second, Major League Baseball will be first, and Sam will tell us about his week. Then we'll go into so just forget the first line. Major League Baseball, NFL, NCAA football, NBA, NCAA basketball. We may throw something in about the culture, maybe a little Mariah the Scientist again, unless Sam has something else. And then Tech Talk Now, we'll be talking about cybersecurity, demystifying the myth. So that's us today. And since we're starting off with Major League Baseball, I'm gonna let Samuel Gardner III kick it off. Tell us what's happening in baseball, sir.
It's just a friendly game of baseball. There we
Uh-oh.
go. So,
Uh-oh.
as we know, The World Series just concluded. And ratings wise, this was one of the lowest watched World Series due to the teams that were participating in the World Series. We had the Texas Rangers versus the Arizona Diamondbacks, and two teams that no one expected to see in the World Series. And as it pertains to the Texas Rangers, who are now the 2023 World Series champions, hands down, they dominated the Diamondbacks. When I say dominated, that series was won 4-1. So that tells you. Their pitching rotation was amazing, and their bats were cracking. Early on, it was Adolis Garcia who was dominant at the plate. Like you could not pitch anything to him, or he was taking it out the park. And then the former Dodgers champion Corey Seager showed up and showed out, and he ended up becoming the MVP of the series. And North Texas, specifically the city of Arlington, celebrated their first World Series, which was amazing. The energy in the area was amazing. You know, quite often when you think of Texas, first thing that comes up is football, and everyone is football, football, football heavy. But to see how electrifying it's been in North Texas, seeing all these baseball fans come out, and then fast forward to yesterday, the parade was crazy. The city initially expected 250,000 people, and they ended up hosting a 500,000. Estimates are at roughly 500,000. And as someone who was there working on a live production for 4+ hours, it was definitely that many people, if not more, that were in Arlington, um, outside of Globe Life Field. Great atmosphere. Just to see people from so many different socioeconomic communities, so many different backgrounds, just to see them all come together and celebrate their team was amazing. And so shout out to the Texas Rangers. If Adolis Garcia didn't get hurt in the series, he definitely was going to be the front runner for MVP of the series because he was that dominant. But then, you know, I wasn't upset to see Corey Seager, who's now a two-time MVP and two-time World Series champion, do well. So great times here in North Texas, great experience. And now as we press fast forward, I'm hoping that the Dodgers will get things together so that next year we can have a different conversation about our beloved Dodgers. But once again, congratulations to the Texas Rangers organization, classy organization. Yeah, on a World Series victory. There you go.
Did you mention who they played, or did you just run Texas the whole time?
Yes,
Oh, you
I
did.
did say the Arizona Diamondbacks, in which
Okay.
they dominated. There's not a whole lot to say about the Diamondbacks. They won one game. So
Mm.
there you go.
Okay. Well, shout out to Nina and her Arizona Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks put the Dodgers out, and the Diamondbacks were on an amazing run, just like the Rangers, until they ran into that buzzsaw that were the Rangers. Um, I have to do this because this is what I do when Sam says certain things. So it's a quick one. So listen close. Check it out. It's just a friendly game of baseball. All right. So you know what's funny? I found the non-explicit version and it was explicit. So I had to test it out while you were talking. There was not a church version of that. And so you would have been disappointed in me if I would have played what I thought was the church version and then we got to getting lit up. So there you go. It's just a friendly game of baseball. So also on the baseball front, when the Texas Rangers eliminated the Houston, are they still called Houston? No, I'm just kidding. The Houston Astros, the great Dusty Baker. I'm just kidding. The great Dusty Baker retired. And if you guys don't know who Dusty Baker was, then you maybe been living under a rock. No, I'm just kidding. So Dusty had an illustrious managing career. And that was after a playing career. So Dusty Baker played 19 seasons. 19 seasons. And then as soon as he was done, he went into coaching and then became a manager. And so he actually had 26 years as a manager. So I think that there was 1 year of coaching. So if you look at that 45 years as a player or manager, I think his professional baseball career was 46 years. So that 1 year as a bench coach or something. So what happened was he was a bench coach, or maybe it was that first year, and he became the interim manager because the manager got fired, and he just never looked back. Dude always had a job, and so he was able to write his ticket, if you will, and he had a lot of like rebuild projects, but he went to the World Series with the Giants, and they unfortunately, and even now, even though I'm a Dodger fan now, I wasn't a Dodger fan then. I was really I was a Red Sox fan, but I was a Dusty Baker fan, and so I wanted the Giants to beat the Angels. And I don't think Sam wanted the Angels to win that World Series because, like, I know we hate the Giants, but the Angels shouldn't even exist. And so the Angels having won that World Series was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the Halos, stop it. Anyway, but he made it back with Houston, and he was able to restore, or maybe even take it to a new level, Houston's image, because Houston was tainted after cheating against the Dodgers, like cheating, just blatantly cheating. And so, there are asterisks there. They have multiple championships now, but they have three. But that first one was definitely tainted. And now they got one last year with Dusty. So it was like restore the image. And also he got his first one in his 25th season as a manager. And then he made it back to the ALCS one more again. So shout out to Dusty. Um, and may things be great for him as he's in retirement. He said he doesn't know what he wants to do. He's just not going to manage, but that dude will probably be in the booth chewing on a toothpick, right? What'd you call him, Sam? You say he's like your uncle at the picnic?
He's a national. Yeah, I said, man, a couple of things. Where I say Dusty Baker's a national treasure,
Yeah.
and he reminds you of your uncle because he always has it. He's in the dugout, but has that toothpick in his mouth. And one thing about Dusty also, he never held his words. Whatever he was feeling, he would let you have it, and he would give it to you straight with no chaser. And I always respect that.
Man, I mean, how can you not? Straight with no chaser. I'm
There
gonna
you
play my
go.
homie real quick. Play my homie real quick, and then we're gonna go into the niffle. We're gonna go into the league. And Sam is gonna kick that off and talk for some minutes. Did you know that, Sam? You did.
Loyalty ain't just when
Let's
it's
do it.
convenient.
Stop it at
Like
18
loyalty ain't when it's
seconds.
convenient. That's why I said what I said. People scream loyalty and loyalty and loyalty, but if he ain't give you that bag, he ain't create that opportunity, would you still be loyal to him? You probably wouldn't. You know what I mean? But it's convenient for you at that time to do so, so you gonna play your part and play the position.
Now I cut off the word position just because Sam has me nervous because the next word is not a curse word, but maybe 3 words later. So I just
It's a setup for a big curse word at that too. So there we go. Thank you.
oh see, I don't even notice. All right, we're gonna go into the National Football League at this time, and the biggest news out there is Sam. What's the biggest news out there in the NFL?
This team here
The Romeo.
decided to blow some things, decided to blow some things up.
Okay.
And the Raider Nation is rather pleased. So let's just catch everyone up to speed.
Okay.
At this stage of the game, the Raiders are 3-5 this season. And when I say it has been horrific, I'm being kind and using the word horrific. To lose to the Bears, beat down, to lose to the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Lions was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And to the Lions' credit, the Lions are playing better than we've seen the Lions play in years. So, shout out to the Detroit Lions. I can't say that they're in the basement of the NFL standings, but the Las Vegas Raiders have looked just terrible. In the words of Charles Barkley, terrible, terrible. And so now, when you have one of the top wide receivers in the league who is voicing his disdain for remaining a member of that organization because he's not getting the ball. Play calling is so methodical when it's run, short pass, run, short pass. Everyone knows it, and it's been terrible. Jimmy G has looked like he's been in a blender every game. He's just looked like he's had no composure. Pass protection has broken down repeatedly, and it's just been terrible for the Raiders. So, everyone was looking at the trade deadline, and we're looking at various trades and what teams are doing. And the Raiders brass decided, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna blow this thing up. Reminds me of an Ice Cube song. We're gonna tear this mother up, make it rough. And so that's what happened. And it started off with head coach Josh McDaniels getting the axe. And shortly thereafter, we said, let's go ahead and get rid of Dave Ziegler, the GM. See ya. And now, in those two prominent positions, serving as interims, we have linebacker coach Antonio Pierce. Most of you will remember him winning a Super Bowl in 2007 with the New York Football Giants. And so he's now the interim head coach. And then we have Champ Kelly serving as the interim GM. Champ Kelly was prior jobs. He was with the Bears along with the Broncos. He played for the University of Kentucky, late 90s, early 2000s. And so fast forward to the press conference that happened on, I want to say Thursday, with Coach Pierce. The thing that truly resonated, or for some resignated, is the fact that he's from Southern California, born and raised in Compton, and he talked about growing up a Raiders fan, always being a Raiders fan, and the locker room loves him. Those young guys really love and admire him because he is a great player personnel guy because he's lived that life. And so he knows a lot of the challenges that players go through, and he's really respected well in that locker room. And then also when you look at Champ Kelly, being a former player, you know, experiencing great success with the Broncos in his last stop. That's pretty awesome to see, you know, two black men that are now in these prominent roles. And then you're thinking that's just all that the Raiders had. They decided that Jimmy G is going to take some time to have a seat on the sidelines. And so now starting is rookie quarterback Aiden O'Connell. He was a fourth-round pick out of Purdue. And so now it's time for this young man to get out, have some reps, show and prove. The direction in which the Raiders were moving, as bad as it's looked, I don't think it can get any worse. So it was time to blow it up. Let's blow it up and see what we can put together now. And that's where we are right now, man. Raider Nation. I'm on so many different Raider threads, Raider Nation threads, and looking at what the members of the nation are saying, man. Everyone is excited about this newness, about a new feeling, and we're optimistic, and we want to see the Raiders get back to being a prominent team because, yes, there are those that will clown the Raiders for, I guess you can say, the failure they've had over the past 20 years. But then when you look at overall organizations, the Raiders were one of the most prominent organizations in the league. And more importantly, what the Raiders would have done behind the scenes, what the Raiders have done in communities of color, hiring people of color, hiring women in prominent positions. You know, to me, that's one of the things also that when I look at the Raiders, man, I'm proud of a lot of things they do behind the scenes because you're bringing in people of color that can relate to the players can relate to them, and you're building an organization that, regardless of what we've done on the field as of recent, I will always be a proud member of the Raider Nation. There we go. AC, what's going on, brother? And some movement happened also. Some movement happened in the Bay this week, right? For your beloved squad.
Yeah. It's not as loud as I wanted it to be. Just sucking my dick. Ah, no! I was supposed to stop. I was just playing the make it rough part. Oh my goodness. Anyway, all right, make it rough. And right when I turned up. Anyway, so yeah, first of all, we lost again. So let me just start there. 49ers. However, and we're not going to CBS this week because CBS is tripping. So we're gonna go really quickly. Yeah. When y'all just get too out of pocket, I can't. So we're gonna
Oh, so
go
now
with,
I'm roped in with the y'all.
I mean, I mean,
I'm a member of the y'all.
we try to go CBS when we can. So here are the power rankings. Well deserved Philly at 1 because Philly's got 1 loss, and it doesn't matter how unimpressive they've looked in the wins. They have 7 of them. That's more than anybody else. And with all the naysayers talking about Baltimore, they sit pretty at 2. Miami's hanging tough. They look bad in those 2 losses, and they've had some close ones, but they're still there. So they moved up 2 spots to 3. Kansas City dropped. Actually, Kansas City was 1 last week, so they dropped down to 4. Jacksonville's up there. Dallas is 6. Detroit 7, and then we're at 8. And with 3 straight losses, you could have put us at 20 CBS. And I would have been okay with it because even though 2 of those, well, we could have won all 3 of them, but we lost all 3 of them. So we're not 8-0, we're 5-3, and we got to fix it. That's the bottom line. But to help fix it, we traded for a fellow by the name of Chase Young from the Washington football team. I know some people don't even want to say Commanders, so I'll just go back to Washington football team to have a shout out to them. But yeah, so Chase Young will be in a San Francisco uniform this weekend. Chase Young will be playing, and so yeah, there's some movement there. Oh, let me finish the top 10. So 49ers 8, Buffalo 9, Seattle 10. And if you look at this, Seattle's 5-2 because they had a bye. 49ers haven't had a bye yet. Seattle is actually in first place in the NFC West now. 3 weeks ago, the 49ers were number 1 in the world. 2 weeks ago, even with the loss, they were number 1 in the world. That even with 1 loss. Then when you have 2 losses, they're like, you're the 3rd best team. 3 losses in a row. We're still top 10, and then in some polls we are like 7 actually. So I didn't go with the highest ranking. I went with the poll that I use the most, which is the NFL.com, but which Sam used to also be affiliated with back in the day. So yeah, that's that.
Hey, AC, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Out of that top 10 ranking, so looking at the power rankings, top 10,
Yeah.
how many of those teams have a starting black quarterback? I wanted to see something real quick.
Oh, let's go back to that. So
let's look back at that list for a second.
Okay, black or
yeah, let's go black or person of color. Yes, let's go black or person of color as a starting quarterback.
Okay, so starting quarterbacks. So here's the skew. It's 5 of the top 10, but even better, it's the top 4. It's all of the top 4. It's
That's what I'm saying. That's my aha. Historically, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this because I want to celebrate our greatness. Historically, it was always said, when it came to leading teams, there was a lot of questions. And when I look at one of those quarterbacks in particular, looking at Lamar Jackson, is he a smart quarterback? Can he lead a team? They wanted him to become a wide receiver when he first came in the league from Louisville. And so to see these black quarterbacks, young black quarterbacks who are, yes, their personal stats are great, but to see them leading these organizations, brother, it feels great. It feels great. And so I did not want to yeah, come on now. Cue it up. Serious, like to see these young black quarterbacks leading organizations, not just as members of an organization, but leading. We have to celebrate that, man. We must celebrate. In past years, what was it? It was always said that we have raw talent, but we didn't have the mindset, the skill set necessary, the mindset to go along with the skill set. But now we're seeing two of those things connect, and man, it feels great.
Yeah, it feels great. It feels great.
Yep.
All right. So shout out to them. Um, and here we go again. Somebody will drop in the power rankings. We have Miami and KC playing. So it's funny that you say that because that's black and black adjacent. Miami at KC, and then we have Seattle at Baltimore, which is black and black. So that's the top four right there. Miami, KC, Seattle. No, I'm sorry. Seattle is 10. That's four of the top 10 right there, and three of the top four. So those will be two pretty interesting matchups. Then we have Minnesota at Atlanta, which has nothing to do with black quarterbacks. Wait, or no, it does. Atlanta's quarterback is black, right?
I thought so, but who is he again?
That's
You
Ritter,
remember?
right? Is Ritter in
I think
Atlanta?
so.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hold on.
And then who did they drop into Minnesota? Anyway, 4-4 versus
Let's check this out. I'm
yes.
curious.
Check it out while I'm going through this. Um, Arizona and Cleveland. Even though Cleveland beat us, they don't believe in Cleveland as much anymore. Um, LA and Green Bay. That's the toilet bowl. Shout out to Tasha One, who was a Green Bay fan. Shout out to all those miserable LA Rams fans. LA and Green Bay. Ooh. Um, Arizona and Cleveland. It would be good if Arizona can get that win. Tampa Bay and Houston. This is the Black Coach Bowl. 3-4 versus 3-4. So somebody's getting to 500 unless they tie. Then they'll be 3-4-1. Washington and New England. People are calling for both of these coaches to go away. They're saying that they're both past their primes, and then they're saying that Riverboat Ron maybe never even had a prime, which I feel is very unfair. But yeah, so 3-5 at 2-6. Chicago and New Orleans. Chicago's won one of their last two. New Orleans is 500. Derek Carr is there. I'll leave that alone. Indianapolis and Carolina. Nobody cares. The Giants at the Raiders. Sam cares. Sam, you got anything about that? I mean, oh wait. So back to Pierce, who played for the Giants. I know Sam said that. He's a Los Angeles County product. He grew up in Compton. He went to Long Beach Poly. He actually circled back and coached at Long Beach Poly a few years ago before he wound up going to. He had 1 year, I think, as an NFL assistant, and then he went to Arizona State to go coach under Herm Edwards, and then
And
he
shout
went
out to
to
Long Beach Poly, our man Cobbs, Big Cobbs.
yeah. Shout out to Cobbs. Well, I can't do that, and all the people that went to Poly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, we could do that. Mercedes Lewis. I just want to throw another one in there. What's the little jackrabbit that always dropped the ball on the 1 yard line? Um, Deshaun Jackson. Shout
Deshaun
out to
Jackson. Yeah,
yeah,
Djax.
yeah.
Djax.
He like, man, I don't need this touchdown. Let me just turn the ball over on the
Jax
one.
has some wheel. He has some wheels, boy. He has some wheels on him.
Yeah, just drop the ball in the end zone though. That's all. That's all I'm
In the end
saying.
zone. Thank you. Hold on
Yeah,
to it, player. In
yeah.
there.
All right, so Dallas at Philly. That's a big one. And boy, is
Mm-hmm.
Dallas going to talk if they get that win. I kind of hope this is interesting. I kind of hope they don't. But if they do, and the 49ers do what they need to do, then they can actually catch Philly. But Dallas will just be talking too much. So I don't know. I care about that game? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Eagles in that one. Then you have Buffalo and Cincinnati, um, Clippers and the Jets, and then Pittsburgh already beat Tennessee. So there you go. That's what's going on this week. Anything else before we move on to college football?
No, man, I think we're good on the league, man. Yeah, a lot happening. Definitely the marquee matchup is that Cowboys Eagles game. And with it being a long time divisional rivalry, the funny thing is, me having lived in both places, I'm
Hmm.
always in a weird place when these teams play. And I'm not gonna voice here who I want to win, but yeah, there we go. Yeah, that should be a good game.
Okay. Yeah, that is interesting, and I mean, just overall, yeah, you lived in both places, but you also reside on the AFC side, so it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
we're gonna go ahead and get into college football, and just I'm gonna throw this at you guys. I did mention last week that someone was primed for an upset, and some of you may have scoffed at me, but this happened.
Hmm.
Kansas beat Oklahoma as I predicted. We didn't necessarily care about this one. This one, this one. Oh, wait, we have listeners who are not viewing. Florida State over Wake Forest. This was big. Oregon over Utah so convincingly. Oregon was higher in the polls, but they beat Utah. They beat the brakes off of Utah. Let's call it what it. Oh, let's call it what it is. 35-6. That was ugly for Utah because that was a top 10 matchup. Georgia over Florida, closer than Georgia would have liked, but again, Georgia hasn't lost since Kayla was like 4. So um, it's
Yeah,
been
Georgia, man, they managed to squeak out these victories, and you always say, "Well, that was so close." But as you mentioned, a dub is a dub, man. If you're winning, you're winning,
yeah,
regardless to how it looks.
yeah.
Yeah, Georgia has looked down. Georgia has looked like some of those past Alabama teams where they operate in a manner where you feel like they're going to win every game.
Yeah, yeah, Georgia has definitely taken
Yeah,
that over because now Alabama operates in a manner where I feel like they're going to lose every game. So, yeah,
right.
that's a different beast now. This game here,
Yeah.
US University of Southern California at UC Berkeley. What a barn burner. And Cal Berkeley, because I'm not calling them what y'all call them, because they are just another UC. They're not the only UC. So UC Berkeley scored. They were
Shots
down
fired.
50-4 always. Shout out to Niall Benjamin, who I play football with at St. Monica, and then he went to UC Berkeley. So 50-43 was the score when Berkeley scored a last second touchdown. And so it's 50-49, and you can kick the extra point for overtime, or you can go for two and go for the win and try to beat that number 24 team in the nation and get one of the biggest upsets in your school's history. And it was they failed on the 2 point conversion. They went for two and failed. And if you look to back in the day, I think it was I forgot what year it was. I want to say 89. But Alabama went for two against Miami and got it, and they won national championship back in the day. So that one always hurt because they got that 2 point conversion. But yeah, I think you have to commend the Berkeley coach for going for two because it's not like they were going to make the playoff or anything like that. So there was more to gain than there was to lose. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment? More to gain than there was to lose for Berkeley, and so they just lost the game. But they fought hard, and I don't think anybody believes in SC because they're still hanging around 24. I mean they're at 24. They've been 24 or 25 for a few weeks now. So that's that. Tennessee had a scare from Kentucky, but that's supposed to happen because that's actually an SEC rivalry. This one here, Washington and Stanford. Stanford, had the 29-point walk down of Colorado a couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago, and then They pushed Washington to the limit, but Washington is 5. And when you look at the first college football playoff rankings, Washington is 5 and Oregon is 6, and people are saying, "Oh no, they're just outside of the top 4." However, you have Ohio State and Michigan in the top 4. So they're conceivably going to play each other. And then you're looking at, and I guess Washington and Oregon are both in the North, right? I don't know how that's
Yeah, I
going to
believe
work.
so.
But right now, just saying, right now, you know that either Ohio State or Michigan would drop out of that, especially if you had an undefeated Washington sitting right there. Now, one loss Oregon makes it complicated, but an undefeated Washington is essentially in the playoffs as long as they win out. So they do control their own destiny because there's no way that they take a one loss Ohio State or Michigan over an undefeated Washington in this season. So it's okay that Washington is 5 in that first poll. That's all I'm saying. Um, UCLA had a win over Colorado. I won't call it a big win because they were supposed to win, but it was interesting because one of the things that I thought Sam was going to say when he talked about Jimmy Garoppolo, and here's my thing: if you don't like somebody, don't call them by their nickname. That's just my thought. Like, you don't like me, don't call me by my nickname. So Sam, you shouldn't be calling him Jimmy G. You should call him Jimmy Garoppolo. Um, but
Well, I never said I did. I never said I did not like him.
do you like
I
him?
just
Do you like?
understand. I understand his. I understand his inability to lead the Las Vegas Raiders. That's what I'm saying. I
Okay.
never said I
Do you
didn't
like
like him.
Do you like him? See,
I
I could
didn't
cut.
say I disliked him.
You're
No,
also not answering.
you're not cornering me on this. I didn't
He's
say I
also not.
disliked.
But
You're terrible, man.
if we ask who do you believe in, it's not going to be Jimmy G, right? Oh man. Okay, so I thought he was going to say Jimmy Garoppolo had no protection, but what he was saying was there's a combination of Jimmy Garoppolo not having a lot of protection, and also when Jimmy Garoppolo lucked into some protection, he just wasn't on the same page with his friends out there on the field. Unlike, so I thought it was going to be complimentary to Shedeur Sanders, who is the quarterback of the University of Colorado Buffaloes, and also Deion Sanders' son. This man, who was the cat that got battered and bruised the other night? Who had he was sacked 10 times? And I don't mean when
Oh,
Khalil Mack had a field day against you guys. I mean, who was it that we were
why
watching?
why
Oh,
why are we doing that?
was
Why
it
are
the
we doing
Giants?
that right
I don't
now?
know. I'm trying to remember who was it. The Giants quarterback? Yes, it was. It was Daniel Jones, right?
Daniel Jones, yeah, yeah.
He couldn't get a pass. So that was Shedeur Sanders, who still managed to pass for 272 yards, even though he was hurried 17 times. He was hit 13 times, and he was sacked like 6 times. The man had no time to pass the ball at all.
All right, I have a question for you. So put on your football referee hat for me for a second. So I've seen a lot of back and forth on social media about Shadur and the amount of sacks that he takes. And there was one journalist who was very critical of him, who said that the reason he takes sacks as opposed to throwing the ball away is he's attempting to pad his stats, his QB rating. He doesn't want to have those as incompletes. He'd rather have them as a sack as opposed to an incomplete. Do you see that? Have you ever felt that? Like, does that even make sense?
No, and as a journalist, I'm embarrassed by that statement. It just doesn't make any sense. You're out there to win, and if you just look at the game, by the time he receives the snap, even when he's under center, there's a defensive lineman or a linebacker there with him to greet him.
It collapses immediately, like
Yeah,
two steps collapse.
right. Like that's not an accident that Deion Sanders is saying we got to get better offensive linemen. Like I mean we knew it, but it was very evident against UCLA and pad his stats. It does if you're injured and he was, It's very hard to pad stats. That just doesn't make any sense. I thought you were going to ask my opinion about the targeting. Um, but
That was my next one, the targeting against Shiloh.
yeah, so also in that game in the first half, Shiloh Sanders was flagged for targeting on a hit where he led with his right shoulder but made um, contact with the helmet of the offensive player with the crown of his helmet. And so the shoulder that what the NCAA wants you to do in football is tackle head up and lead with your not lead with the crown of your helmet at all and not make contact above the shoulders when you can avoid it. So if you look at that play, at the same time that the shoulder is arriving at the chest of the UCLA player, the crown of the helmet is going into, and it could have been any part of the body, but it happened to go into the helmet, under the helmet of the UCLA player. So by rule and definition, it is targeting. And I talked to someone who I didn't get clearance from to say his name, so I won't say his name, but he played football. He played college football, and he had a cup of coffee in the NFL. And he said he understands that that's the rule, and so he understands that the interpretation of the rule was correct. But he wants the rule to be changed, and so he feels like when you are leading with your shoulder and then the helmet goes in there, then there should be a reprieve for that. Now, here's the interesting thing: we have a training tape that goes out every week from the NCAA coordinator of officials. And so that play came up, with no names or anything. It's just look at this play. And so what the response from the NCAA was, yes, the player led with his shoulders, talking about Shiloh Sanders, led with his shoulder, but at the same time, he's leading with his helmet. So if he lowers his target there, because the crown of the helmet went under the helmet. It didn't go into the helmet. It went under. So if he Shiloh lowers his target, so it's shoulder basically into the stomach as opposed to shoulder into the chest, and then the crown of the helmet wouldn't have gone into anything. It would have been Shiloh's face mask going into the chest. Then you just have a big hit if he lowers the target there. But he didn't lower the target, and so you wind up with that head-to-head contact, which was initiated from the crown, and so it absolutely was targeting with the crown of the helmet. And because it was contact on a defenseless receiver above the shoulders, then it was both kinds of targeting. It was targeting with the crown of the helmet, and it was contact above the shoulders of a defenseless. It was violent contact above the shoulders of a defenseless receiver. So it was both kinds. And so it was absolutely upheld. The one thing that I didn't really understand, and I can actually reach out, I don't think I care at this point, but there was a debate about, and this is something that a lot of people are not talking about, but about the intentional grounding play that was toward the sideline for Shedeur Sanders when he passed the ball. He was under duress, but he passed the ball and then it hit the helmet of the defender. So there were some questions about why that was still intentional grounding when it did hit the helmet. And the idea was that, okay, he was out of the pocket. He was under duress. So to throw it away, you have to be out of the pocket and it has to at least reach the line of scrimmage. And it can reach the line of scrimmage, even the line of scrimmage extended. So it could reach the line of scrimmage out of bounds. It fell short. And some thought that there should have been a reprieve because it hit the defender's helmet, but there wasn't. And so that's also the perspective there. It did not reach the line of scrimmage, so it doesn't matter if it hit the helmet. Any other questions about that, my friend?
That's all. It's kind of interesting in terms of, when players are tasked tasked with, okay, this is the correct technique for tackling to maximize the safety aspect of it. It's so difficult that, in in the heat of the moment, you're expected. Yes, you lead with your shoulder, but then you contort you move your head in a way where it's not gonna. So it's a lot of times it's like it almost seems like, how do you expect that to happen if you're exploding out of your stance to hit someone? Okay, I'm leading with my shoulder. Do I move my neck this way so I don't hit them with the crown of my helmet? So it's difficult, and I think it should be looked at on a case by case basis because it's difficult. And there were certain angles, and I'm sure you see this in real time since you're on the field and you see it happen. Boom. We're watching it on TV with 5 different angles, slowed down so that we can see all these different angles. And in real time, you don't see all of those angles. And yes, they're able to review plays, but it's just, it's something that you have to look at on a case by case basis. I didn't think that he should have been dismissed from that game, but I'm also not in that space in which I'm a umpire or referee or whatnot.
Yeah, so thank you for that. Let me respond to that. So it should be noted that real time there was a flag thrown for targeting. So replay didn't throw that flag. It was actually thrown on the field. So that official that was right there, and I don't know if it was, I think it was a deep wing that threw it. So it was either side judge or field judge, saw that crown of the helmet contact. And other people didn't, even the commentators, because they said, oh no, it was the shoulder. And then as soon as they showed the replay, I know what I'm looking at, right? So I saw that the shoulder was clean, real time. And so I'm not looking at the shoulder in the replay. I'm looking at the crown of his helmet, and I saw exactly where it went. And I think, listen, what you're saying is not lost on me, that you feel like it should be handled on a case by case basis. I think that we do on a case by case basis judge whether there was a launch, and an indicator of targeting, but to to change all of it to a case by case basis, I think makes it way too subjective, and then we won't have uniformed officiating, and I think you guys would be even more disappointed in how games are being called. But to respond specifically to what you said, it's all about technique, right? And it's all about what is being taught. And I'll say this: we are down in FBS. By last count, it's 0.75 targeting calls per game. 0.75 per game in FBS. Obviously, that was an FBS game. So I think what jumps back at me to counter your argument is that by far most of the tackles made in FBS are clean, are not targeting. So the adjustments are made, and there are a lot of big hits that are not targeting. So it's about just cleaning that piece up. Now, if they do change the rule and say as long as the crown of the helmet wasn't the first contact, then okay. But that their thinking is it's not just about the person that you're colliding with. It's also about you. They know that too many people have had all of these CTE injuries that we find out about after they're dead when you go through the autopsy, and there's people have had their necks broken and all of that. So I think it's all about erring on the side of caution, and nothing is a secret, right? Like everyone knows the rules, and it's about how you coach through it and what you do as a player. And I'll say that this is one of those plays where we can kind of gauge the intent and say that the intent was not to target, but it happens because a lot of times when you have you have a foul in basketball, the intent wasn't to foul. The intent was to block the shot, right? Or if you have a flagrant foul, you were trying to block the shot, but you wound up punching the dude in the eye when you were trying to punch the ball. You still did it, so you still have to be penalized for it. But it's about adjustments, and most have adjusted, and even he adjusted. So it's just one of those transgressions, because he'd never been flagged for targeting before, and he probably won't get flagged for targeting again. Like, he's not anyone who was a repeat offender. So I hear you. I hear the other people, but this is not the first year of it. We're in year 10 now. So adjustments need to be made. But the rules committee does review all this stuff every year. So, all right, boy, that was
That's
cool.
good stuff.
Yeah,
Good stuff. That's some great added color because you're looking at it through trained eyes, and your trained eye is a bit more keen than us football fans or just the novice.
yeah,
So to hear it from your perspective as a person that sees that in real time, week after week, that's pretty awesome insight. So thank you for providing that.
yeah, man. Thanks for wanting it. I'm definitely happy to share. Um, I'm sorry, I was moving on from NCAA football, but we should probably talk about the new poll, right?
We could talk about the new poll, and let's hit a couple of marquee matchups, and then I also want to give a little shout out to a little HBCU matchup as well.
Okay, go.
All right, so marquee matchups for this week. Let's stay within the top 25 because there are a lot of games. So I just wanted to touch upon top 25. So you have number 21 Kansas State, at number 7 Texas, and Texas. Usually this time of season is when Texas is a weird team where you see Texas has so much promise, but these are those kind of games that can be an extreme letdown for them. So we'll see.
Hmm.
Kansas State Wildcats are no, that's not going to be an easy win for Texas. Let's see what else we have. Number 12 Missouri against number 2 undefeated University of Georgia Bulldogs. That game is in Athens, so that should be a good game. In-state rivalry next up. Oklahoma, number 9 Oklahoma against number 22 Oklahoma State. From there in Pac-12 action, number 5 Washington is at number 20 Southern Cal. Let's see. Oh, this is going to be a good one. Primetime game. Number 14 LSU at number 8 Alabama. We have your Bruins. The Bruins, number 19 Bruins at Arizona. And then as we shift out of FBS action, let's go over to 7-1 Florida A&M FAMU against Alabama A&M, who's 4-4. So FAMU should continue to dominate because they've had a great season thus far, and I wanted to acknowledge FAMU. Quite a few family and friends are alums of Florida A&M University.
Okay, well, shout out to Florida A&M University. Bam. All right, so I'm gonna share with you guys the as opposed to sharing the poll. Let's just jump to the playoff rankings. That's actually better. Um, so this is the first poll was released on Halloween. Let me let me superimpose it a bit. Not superimpose, but let me zoom in. So even though Georgia is number 1 in the polls, in the playoff rankings, it's Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, Florida State. So I mentioned that you had 2 in the top 4 that are in the Big Ten. So that's right now, that's your Big Ten championship game. And so one of them will wind up with a loss, which opens the door for an undefeated Washington. But Washington and Oregon are just outside of the top 4. I must say, don't call it a comeback, but as a Miami fan, we don't like Florida State, and we definitely don't like that they haven't updated this mascot yet. But they are doing very, very well. Very, 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 very well. So that is not lost on me. And Alabama, 7-1, just like Philly, kind of chugging along after that early loss. A lot of like escapes, but still at 7-1. But it should be of note that Oregon is the highest ranked one-loss team. Then you have Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma. Oklahoma, which lost to Kansas. Told you guys that was going to happen. And then Ole Miss. There's just so many things that are wrong with this. The Rebels, Ole Miss, all of that. But number 10, and then Penn State, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Notre Dame, man, they've fallen quite a bit because they were in that top 4. Oregon State, Tennessee, Utah dropped after that Oregon loss. And so they are a 2-loss team, but they've got to be over UCLA and USC because they beat UCLA and USC, right? So 18, 19, 20. And then, as that gentleman mentioned, Kansas State could be primed for an upset. And then the lowest ranked undefeated team in FBS is Air Force at 25, and that's your Mountain West leader. Fair enough?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeedy. I wrote graffiti on the bathroom wall.
On the
All right, so to the association, your god brother has a new home. Talk about it. Talk about it.
we have a couple of new nicknames for this fella. James Have It My Way Harden. Or matter of fact, let's go with James the System Harden. So for those of you who do not know, last week we talked about the soap opera being the Philadelphia 76ers and the relationship between James the Beard Harden and Daryl Morey. And James Harden has been upset. He's been vocal. And he said, I'm getting the heck out of Dodge. I don't want to be in South Philly. And they need to figure it out because I'm not playing here. He was MIA for training camp. He started showing up to games just to sit on the bench and look around and really look like he was there, but miserable in the process. So some moves were made. A lot of moves were made. And James Harden now is a member of the Los Angeles, soon to play in Inglewood. So I don't know if they're going to change their name to the Inglewood Clippers. But now James Harden's a member of the Clippers organization.
You know they're not going to change their name, just like the Rams and the Chargers both play in Inglewood. I don't know why you're doing that, but okay. You funny.
Shout out to Inglewood, man. You know where I'm from. Inglewood. Yeah, there we go. So James Harden, in a press conference the other day, he was asked about playing in the Clippers system. And I quote, James Harden's response for said question is, I am not a system player. I am a system. So at this stage of his career, it made me wonder, in saying you are a system, does that mean you're a system in which you're going to have to chuck the ball 30 times and not share the ball? Are you a system in which when you miss said jump shot, you're going to just stand there and cherry pick and not get back on defense? What does that mean when James Harden says he's a system? AC, respond.
Okay, so first of all, we're saying that he's saying that he's the system, and we're calling him the system, and that means that he didn't trust the process. He didn't trust the process, right? I'm just making sure. Okay, so you want me to react about James Harden with Russ, Paul George, and Kawhi. It should be of note that the four of them grew up in Southern California, and now they are four of the starting five of the the Inglewood Clippers. It's funny that
Wait, so
you did
that's
that.
this is the
It's funny that you did that. Go ahead.
is this the modern day? Are they the four horsemen? The modern four horsemen? I don't know.
I mean, listen. So again, Russell Westbrook, go Bruins. But outside of that, man, I did want Paul George to come to the Lakers though. So I think I'm baffled. I'm at a loss for words because if you think about it, I am the system. Okay, so then if you blow up a team and then bring a whole bunch of people to you to fit your system, then that's one thing. But you're literally going to a system. And there are a lot of prominent people already suited up there. And so I can understand someone saying, I'm not a system player, period. But I am the system. I don't think that if that's true, if that's how the individual feels, I don't think that bodes well for success in Inglewood. Because if you ever needed a system with Sam's four horsemen, you're going to need a system. Now, it could be a system that is tailored to the four of you. And shout out to, is it still Toronto? Who's
Yeah,
the
I
coach?
believe so.
Yeah. All right. So shout out to Toronto for trying to figure that out. But there's a system. There's got to be a system. So I don't really have anything profound to say in response to that. I would say that he's probably not any closer to shaving that beard with that comment. You know, I think that he's going, I don't want to say he's going backwards because he didn't trust the process. So things weren't going to bode well for a championship there. But dude, it's the Clippers. So I don't know. I kind of want it to work though. Here's the funny thing. Because I don't like the Clippers branding when they say, you know, oh, like they're the blue collar organization, like the Lakers are punks or something, and all that's. I don't know if you've seen it, but the billboards around the city, like, oh, this is city basketball, you know, hard hats, we go to work. Well, okay, I don't know, but then LeBron is a Laker, so it's not like it's not like I have pom poms. So I don't know. I'm torn. That's because I'm not the biggest fan of James Harden, but then you look at, you know, you go up the coast, and I'm even less of a fan of Chris Paul, and he's with my boys in GS. And so I don't even know what to do, Sam. I'm sorry. I think I talked for like 3 minutes, and I don't have anything for you. We'll see. That's my response. We will see. But they're kind of like all the same. Like they kind of all pretty much came in together. They all about the same age. Not all the way, but like he's not walking in there as like the veteran presence like Damian Lillard could have done in Milwaukee. You know, like no, dude, you're one of these four. And it was already an experiment with Russell Westbrook, so it'll be interesting. I don't even know if I hope it works. I don't really know what to say, Sam. I'm torn.
What I will say is this, and this is where I'm going to leave it, and we can move on. In saying that he's the system, that implies that the system's going to run through him, and clearly it's not going to be his team. At the end of the day, that's Kawhi's team. So I don't know how they coexist. I don't know how you have two ball dominant players, two ball dominant guards that have the ball at all times, but still have enough distribution for Paul George as a slasher, still have the ball. You know, is Russ coming off the bench? Is he starting? What does that piece look like? So I think there's a great deal of confusion because that has to be Kawhi's team. And you know me, I never wish the Clippers to be the top dog in LA. Sorry, I will never do it, never have, never will. Matter of fact, the only highlight that the Clippers have for me is their DJ. Shout out to DJ Dents. Outside of that, nah, man. I don't think this experiment's going to work. I think for them, it's a homecoming of sorts. As you mentioned, all four players, all four of the leadership of the Clippers roster are all from the Los Angeles area or Southern California. So I'm sure that's great for them in terms of camaraderie. But yeah, I don't see the Clippers kicking up much dust.
All right. Well, there you go. Yeah, I don't want them to be the Kings of LA or anything, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, the Clippers, that's already too much airtime from us. But it's big news, so we had to say something. And you know, where does that leave Philly? You know, I don't know. Switch reels real quick. I want to play a little something of Kayla. Yeah.
There we go. There's the birthday girl. So for those of you who are not watching, if you're listening, the executive producer of our show is a bright, smart, I will not stop, I have no limitations, 6-year-old going on 36-year-old Kayla Sky Carter. She's awesome. She's my niece. She's our EP, and she's great. We love her, and there are no limitations to what this young lady's going to do in her life. She's going to be taking care of all of us because she's going to do so many great things. So, man, shout out to you, Pops, on being the father of this great young lady. She's awesome. And the thing that really stands out about her, she knows that she's awesome and she has such love from her. So, shout out to great parents in both yourself and Brianna because you guys have done a phenomenal job creating this little human here. Happy
Man,
birthday, baby girl. Happy birthday.
thank you for that. For sure. I definitely appreciate that. Um, yeah, shout out to Brianna for being the other half of making her and the other half of raising her. Kayla is just the light of my life. And, shout out to her for being the EP, like Sam said. And, um, shout out to great uncles and aunts and like you and Sean. So definitely appreciate that. But yeah, yeah, and yeah. So that also takes us to NCAA basketball. Well, we don't have a lot. I mean, the season just started, or the season is starting. I guess games started last night. My first game is coming up this week. But big news, someone passed away. You got it, or you want me to take it?
I mean, I can jump in on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we've seen in the NCAA, basketball specifically, some iconic coaches. And so when you talk about iconic coaches that experienced a tremendous amount of success, and if we were to have this coach current day, it would be met with a great deal of controversy because his coaching style was one that, you look at coaches from the 80s, the 70s and 80s that had these strong personalities, were hands-on and were unapologetic about their approach. I think probably if we had to do a Mount Rushmore of coaches that had a real aggressive, tough coaching style, this person would probably be the head of that Mount Rushmore, and that being Bobby Knight, longtime coach of the Indiana Hoosiers, won a championship with the Indiana Hoosiers with what was his guy? Keith Smart, with Keith Smart at shooting guard, coached Isaiah Thomas. Like, he's had a long, illustrious career. His career was met with controversy. As I said, he was a hands-on, in your face, curse you out, put his hands on his players, knock them around a bit. And so he ended up being dismissed from his post with Indiana University, and he ended up moving over to Lubbock, Texas, to lead the charge for Texas Tech men's basketball. And Bobby Knight passed away at the age of 83. And man, tell me about some memories you have of watching Bobby Knight as a coach, man, because as I said, he was aggressive, in your face. His teams were run really tight, and he had a system in which you can tell players really feared their coach. But talk about your experiences watching Bobby Knight, man, coach, while growing up.
Yeah, so for me, it was just like you felt like kind of like that Alabama thing you're talking about. Like Indiana always had a chance to win, or Indiana was always expected to win. But I kind of also watched for the value of seeing what I might see that I'd never seen before, such as a chair being thrown into the free throw lane during a free throw for a technical, and maybe somebody might get choked on the sideline, or maybe somebody's gonna get backhanded or slapped or tripped, or Jay Z talked about I'm so close I could trip a referee. I'm surprised. I'm kind of surprised that we never saw that from from Bobby Knight, but it was always like it was entertainment, but the fiery part of it, the part that was do this and and we'll get to the promised land. I think is I always have fiery coaches. I remember, the main thing that I remember hearing was defense wins ball games, but nobody was whispering that. It wasn't said with a smile. And so I could relate to that aspect of it. I mean, there was a lot more than that. He coached at West Point. He coached Mike Krzyzewski. That he's Mike Krzyzewski is a Bobby Knight product. That's actually crazy to think of, because he is definitely not that vocal. He's still fiery, but he's not as by any means as vocal, or was not as vocal as Bobby Knight was. But yeah, just he always had squads, and the squads kind of leaned to not a lot of brothers, but the brothers that were there were prominent, and so that was also something that I happened to notice. But definitely on the, as you said, the Mount Rushmore of fiery coaches that were actually successful, also, because that dude won 3 championships at Indiana. Um, from what was it, 80, from 78 to 89, I think. So in an 11-year span, he won 3. So that's not nothing, right? That's something that was really important. And before he passed away, they finally welcomed him back to Indiana, and he got to hug his former players and be celebrated by the students and alums, and all of that. So rest in peace, Bobby Knight. Um, we'll leave it at that. That, definitely a controversial figure, but just, impact on basketball, college basketball can't be questioned. Tactics, all of that. I mean, we could debate that until the cows come home, but like, impact for sure, and impact on my childhood watching basketball on CBS. So
There it is on
right,
Saturdays
right,
on CBS.
yeah,
It's funny, man, when we talk about coaching and his coaching style. I think of a couple of his contemporaries that had similar coaching styles. One being John Chaney at Temple University, and John did a lot, especially during that Prop 48 era when you know kids were struggling, student athletes were struggling to get into school, and he was able to bring in a lot of guys and help them graduate from college, and he ran a tight system. But John Chaney was another. He never held his words, and if his opponents, the opposing coach got on his players, John was ready to fight, and he was one of those coaches. So it was just a different era. Another coach that comes to mind, John Chaney has passed away as well, but another coach that comes to mind who's still around is Nolan Richardson. He was another one of those larger than life coaches, and the shift you can see is like the accountability factor. These guys were really vocal, and you would physically see them getting their players' faces, getting the referees' faces. And so coaching has changed a great deal since that era, because we had quite a few of those coaches, and it was almost like, all right, pop your popcorn, because you never know what you're going to see. This loose cannon in a coach. Who was another? John Thompson was another one of the coaches from that era. So coaching has changed so much. Just as we evolve and really work on improving the way we communicate with one another, we've seen coaching change. But it was interesting to see those larger than life coaches, especially back in the 70s and 80s, man.
yeah.
I think they all would go on that Mount Rushmore of real tough college basketball coaches.
And then, just conversely, I just want to throw this out there: the GOAT whispered, John Wooden. But
Yeah.
everything he had to say was just so compelling. Rest in peace. All right, cool. We got through it. We can go to. Oh, I forgot all about the drops. I haven't done any of the drops today. That's so. Who was that? Who was that talking just now? Was that Sam? Who is
New
Sam?
SG Trilogy.
Aww.
New SG Trilogy. New
Aww.
SG Trilogy.
Shout out to Sam. SG Trilogy. And I am.
New AC from LA.
Oh, thank you, Kayla. So, what time is it?
This is Tech Talk Now.
Oh, we gonna do Tech Talk now? You ready? You ready? You ready? You ready? You ready?
Let's go, man. Let's
Let's go.
go.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Do I want to? Hold on. Should we add like some? Should we change it up and do some like a little? Which one I want to do? Night driving. Little background while I'm while I'm going through TikTok now, just to see how it goes. All right. So Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome to another enlightening episode of Tech Talk Now, presented by the Collective Podcast. I'm your host of Tech Talk Now, AC from LA, and today we're delving into a topic that concerns us all: demystifying cybersecurity. In this segment, we'll simplify the complexities of cybersecurity for our non-technical audience and share practical tips to protect your digital world. What is cybersecurity? First, let's break it down. Cybersecurity is like a digital shield that guards your personal information, devices, and online activities from cyber threats. Think of it as locking your front door to keep intruders out of your home. Cyber threats come in various forms: viruses, malware, phishing emails, and more. But you don't need to become a tech expert to defend against them. We'll discuss the common threats you might encounter and how to spot them. Now, on to the basics. Passwords are your first line of defense. We'll share tips for creating strong, memorable passwords and how to use multi-factor authentication, or MFA, to add an extra layer of security. Your devices and software need regular updates to stay secure. We'll explain why and how to keep everything up to date, even if you're not a tech guru. Now, here's an aside. I know a lot of my fellow iPhone users used to say, oh, I don't want to update to the latest iOS because there are bugs. Yes, I know that you feel that way, but there's a reason why the update is out there. You need to update so that your phone can stay secure, because there are always security updates in every iOS release, and I'll even say the Android releases. So just keep that in mind. That was an aside. Cyber attackers often use psychological tricks to manipulate people, kind of like narcissists in relationships. We'll discuss social engineering tactics and how to recognize and avoid them. In an era of online shopping and banking, we'll provide guidance on how to stay safe while managing your finances and making purchases online. And if you have kids or family members who use the internet, we'll share tips on how to protect their online experiences too. Finally, we'll point you to valuable cybersecurity resources and tools that can help you stay safe online without the need for a computer science degree. As we conclude this segment, remember that cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility, and you don't need to be a tech wizard to protect yourself and your loved ones. We hope this discussion has shed light on the importance of digital security and given you practical insights to navigate the digital world with confidence. And stay tuned for Wednesday, when I'll dive deeper into cybersecurity and deliver on everything that I promised you. Thank you for tuning in to Tech Talk Now. Stay safe, stay secure, and stay informed. Till next time. All right.
This is Tech Talk Now.
That was Tech Talk.
Encore.
Thank you.
New AC from LA.
And this
New Collective Podcast.
This is the Collective Podcast. All right, man. That was the latest in Tech Talk Now. Thank you guys for listening. I get excited about that, and what's really dope is that Sam gets excited about that also. So there you go. And there'll be a part 2 of cybersecurity where I'll touch on all those topics. So if you don't have anything else, Sam, you know where we're going next.
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's make it happen. Let's
Get
go.
ready for the closeout. Get ready for the closeout.
All right, Sam, take us home.
All right. So my closeout, I'm going to wrap this thing up from where we began today. So we talked about a team that was able to overcome the odds, a team that was able to dispel all the things that the skeptics were saying, in the Texas Rangers. And the thing for me that truly resonates about that is the importance of, when you are viewed as being the underdog, when people tell you you can't accomplish things because of the limitations they've set for themselves, don't allow anyone else's limitations to become your reality. Use that to fuel your fire. Use that to fuel your passion. I spoke with one of my mentees earlier this week, and one of the things I left him with, and I tasked him with writing it down, I told him to write down, invest in self. Invest in self with how you spend your time. Invest in self with the type of people that you interact with. Invest in self with the type of people you surround yourself with. And do all things, when you invest in yourself, do all things that are going to help ensure your success. So, in spite of what others are saying, you're going to stay on your square and invest in self. I can't stress the importance of that enough. That's it. That's my closeout. It's short and sweet today, man. The importance of investing in self. What about you, brother?
Wow. The importance of investing in
New
self.
SG Trilogy.
Man, you gotta love that. You gotta love that.
Get ready for the closeout.
So for me,
New AC from LA.
man, it's one of those things where, again, I am humbled by the idea that not only am I a father, but like I'm clearly getting better at it every day. You know, it's on the job training. Kayla is my one and only child, but every day I am fulfilled and by Kayla's development, by the love that she brings to the world, by the people that she touches and how much love they send back to her and through her. And you know, again, I want to thank Brianna for being half of that, half of the production of Kayla and half of the development of Kayla. And I just want to thank Kayla for being such a shining light. I mean, she's just an amazing presence. And I don't know, like she is absolutely amazing to me. And I know that other people have people that are also that for them. And I just want to say that with her being that for me, I just want to say thank you. And I want to say again how absolutely grateful I am for her and grateful for the support that I get from people who she touches, right? And so here I just want to share one of the pictures of her, you know, from yesterday, one of the birthday pictures. This is her in the morning before she went to school, and she's just pumped for the day. She's the birthday girl. She's ready. And then, like I said, today we're going to Knott's. And so I want to say again, I implore you all to love on the people that you love. Let them know that you love them, hug them, kiss them, or, you know, let them know how you feel remotely. And it's just extremely important because you just never know. You can take the wrong medication, you can drown in a hot tub, you just don't know, right? So very, very, very important. Just wanted to throw that at you guys. Um there's that. That's my closeout. But I want to
New
mention
AC from LA.
mentioned this before. I mentioned that Mariah, I couldn't help it, dog. I mentioned that Mariah the Scientist was dropping. And, you know, we said she dropped, but I didn't play anything after she dropped. So I just want to really quickly play one of the songs. Not play the whole song, but play a little bit of a track from the album. This one is called Lovesick. I'm just gonna play a little bit of it. So this is Mariah the Scientist with Lovesick from To Be Eaten Alive. I'm gonna cut ahead just to try to get some of the yeah. Wow. That, I mean, I get goosebumps when I listen to that. And if you listen to what came before that, what comes after that, it's just absolutely amazing. So shout out to Mariah the Scientist. Just wanted to close with that. Love my kid. Love my brother over here. Love my sister, his wife. Love my nephews, his children. Love my sister Danielle, my mom, my pops. Love Brianna's other daughter, Braylon. Love Brianna. Just listen, I love people. Not a lot of people, but the people I love them. I really do love them. And then I'm not really like a people person. I mean, I am, but you got to be the right people for me to be a people person with you. So anyway, shout out to the Collective Podcast. This was episode 123. 123, and you know Sam loves to throw up that 3. And
New
you know,
collective podcast.
we appreciate all of the viewers. We appreciate all the listeners. This is applause for you guys. This is applause for you guys tuning in every week, supporting us. You know, we absolutely appreciate you. And Sam and I are going to get out of here. So thanks again for coming. Episode 123. We're out.